Okay, so where do I begin? I want to cover, obviously, where do I begin? A short, quick exercise with some comments from you guys. Some considerations and benefits. You know, what does it mean? Oops, we have the wrong presentation up here. Hold on a second, Anita. My apologies. If you just give me a minute, I've got the wrong presentation up here. Okay, actually we do have the right presentation. For some reason, one slipped in there that shouldn't have been in there. Okay, so I like to start off really with a question, okay? For instance, what have you done so far to prepare yourself for, you know, if you're already in the September term, what have you done and what are you currently doing to prepare yourself? And if you're going to be in the November term, what are you doing to prepare yourself? So just in the chat area, if you can just type in, you know, just a couple comments. I don't want to spend an awful lot of time, but just I want to kind of gauge of what everybody's been doing to prepare themselves. So wait, I see that Patty and Peter. Is that Peter? Yeah, Peter are typing. Great, Peter. Good thing to do is definitely speaking with your mentor. Just registered and ordered books. Great. Okay, so is everybody here a November term student, or do I have a couple September students in here? If you could just raise your hand if you're September. Okay, so Peter and Mary. Okay, great. And then I'm going to assume the other three are November. Okay. Thank you, Janice. Okay, good. Thank you, Patty. Okay, well then this should apply to both terms, quite honestly. So let's just go to the next slide. And this is just a checklist, and of course there's some other things that you can add to the list as you go along. I'm sure I probably haven't captured everything, but I think pretty close. So obviously you want to orient yourself to the online classroom. Okay, you want to purchase your books, obviously. Don't wait until the term begins, or don't wait until you're like, you know, a month into the course. You definitely want to purchase them well in advance so you can at least review them and also allow some time for those books to be delivered to you. In some cases, some books do sell out. They're a little bit difficult to get. Maybe we didn't anticipate that students, we're going to have that high enrollment in that particular course. So that's the whole purpose of purchasing it early on. You obviously want to become familiar with the Learning Support tab, which we are going to address in this presentation. This provides a list of support and services here at the college. It really kind of connects you to my office as well as the library. As soon as your courses are open, which is typically 1 week prior to the term actually beginning, you want to access those courses so you can get in there, look at the syllabus, at least you know, gauge of what is going to be expected of you so you can prepare when the term begins. You want to review course expectations. So as soon as that course opens, you want to look at those expectations, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Obviously, then there's an online learner expectation. Again, we'll talk about that later on. You want to know how to contact your instructor or mentor. It's extremely important. Especially for the November students, if you don't know who your mentor is, or you haven't even begun a conversation with your mentor, I strongly advise that you do that quickly. Now, if you haven't been assigned a mentor, most likely you probably haven't completed the orientation. Make sure you complete the orientation. As soon as you complete the orientation, a mentor is assigned to you, and then you can begin that process. You want to create a plan, which we'll talk about in the presentation as well. We talk about preparation. It really is knowing where to seek the assistance and where the resources are available, not when you need them. You need to know in advance, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And then lastly, you want to engage. Okay, that's really very, very important. Okay, so orient yourself to the online classroom. How do you do that? Well, first, especially in Angel, and I believe you go through this in the orientation, it checks your system to make sure that, in fact, you can run the learning system on your computer. That's really very important, by the way, because the last thing you want to do is, as soon as the course starts, start this whole process and realize you have a technical problem. Now you have to go to technical support, and now you have to actually run through a couple of tests. And you might find that you might need to buy additional equipment to support the class. You don't want to be in that particular situation. And the second thing is that in the orientation, and of course there's lots of links that are available under, and I think I'll provide these at the end, that you can take some additional tutorials when it comes to Angel. All right, so you're a little bit more comfortable. Yeah, I do provide that link at the end of the presentation, so don't worry about writing that link down. All right, so these are important aspects. And if you're a September student and you're still having some issues, by the way, you're really kind of struggling with how to navigate Angel, those tutorials are really very helpful. Okay, purchase your books. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. The only reason why I put this in here is because a lot of students don't buy their books. Or a lot of students don't realize that they don't have to wait for the course to open up to find out what books they need to purchase. All right, so all you need is the term that you're going to enroll in or that you're enrolled in, the course number, okay, and what area of study it falls under. So say, for instance, statistics, that falls under SMT, which is Science, Math, and Technology. It's going to be in the fall term, and that the number is 272384. When you do that, it will pull up the books that are required and the books that are optional, and at that point you can actually place the order. So don't wait until the course opens up. All right, you do have the ability to get what is required early on. If you're looking to resell these books, okay, especially some of the math books are quite expensive, we kind of recommend that you not write in them, okay? Or if in fact you purchased the wrong book, don't open up the shrink wrap, all right? Because otherwise, once you open the shrink wrap, it's lost obviously its value, and you're going to lose a little money on that if you try to sell it or try to return it, okay? What else do I want to say about that? And be careful there too, by the way, because there's an access code in some of these books that allows you to get into the portal. So again, when you get your book, if you can find out another way to use the book without writing in it, I would do that. Use Post-it notes, stickies, that type of stuff. If you can even get an e-book, which is the next point, that also kind of reduces the cost a little bit, and then you can bookmark and highlight certain things in the text. Okay, here we're going to go and actually just visit this particular link. This is right on our website, and it is under My ESC. And then it's the green tab next to Academics. Okay, Academics gets you into your course. The Learning Support tab actually gets you, you want to push that out too? Thanks. So I just sent actually Anita Lindemann, who's also with the Office of Academic Support, pushed that link out to you in the chat area if you want to click on it and look at it and bookmark it. It's an important page that you should become familiar with. This provides, obviously, contacts to the Director of Academic Support. So Craig Lamb is my boss. It will give you his information. And if you are a center student and not a CDL student, it will give you the name of your center's director, okay, of academic support. The second bullet under Get Tutoring and Help is Smart Thinking. If you have not signed in, okay, to Smart Thinking, I highly suggest that you do that today. All right, and the reason being, one, it's free, okay, and two, you can submit your papers there. Once you submit your papers, they will return your paper within 24 hours. Obviously peak time, it tends to be a little longer, with some feedback which you can incorporate into the paper, and obviously make a stronger paper when you submit it. So all you do is you log in with your Angel information, and then after you get to that particular page, it asks you for your own, obviously, username and password. In addition to Smart Thinking, they do have tutoring assistants for the Microsoft Office products. They have tutoring assistants for a lot of math and sciences and languages, accounting, intro, and advanced. You have the ability to have, live chat tutoring assistants. If you have a specific question, you can actually make an appointment, which are half-hour increments, if you really need a one-on-one tutoring experience, or you can, I believe, enter into a group and have it. So I think there's 3 different levels of tutoring assistance, okay? And then, of course, there's some other information here about the Writing Center, lots of writing resources. They're going to link you out. If you find that Smart Thinking is not really assisting you with your writing, and you really need more than what Smart Thinking can provide, like, for instance, really developmental writing, it's a possibility that we can provide you a writing coach. If you're a center student, there's definitely some writing coaches available at the center. If you're a CDL student close to a center, you do also have the those services available to you. You just have to go through me, and then I make those appointments for you and connect you. Of course, we have the Math Center, and then the library is very, very important. And I just want to make sure I don't duplicate the library part, which I don't believe I do. The library, yeah, why don't we go to the library and just push out that link too. I just pushed out that link. That's another one that you should bookmark, because this is the area I think is an extremely valuable and underused by a lot of our students. If you're not sure how to cite your sources properly, this is the place to go. Okay, it will tell you how to format an APA. It will tell you how to format an MLA. It will give you samples, okay, of what it should look like. It will give you a guide how to do bibliographies as well as annotated bibliographies, okay? These are all important, okay, pieces, okay, to your writing. And the library is the best place to get this information. In addition, there's library workshops, okay, that you can sign up for. They are free. And so, for instance, we are what? The next one, next one is Tuesday using RefWorks, which is really, referencing your work. And then the second one that's coming up, September 26th, they're from 6:30 to 8 o'clock at night. You use Illuminate, the same tool we're using today. And that's Better Sources, Better Papers. And it will go through what sources are good sources, what sources are bad sources, so on and so forth. So check it out, because they have workshops available starting on the September 25th all the way through December 13th. So I really highly recommend, okay, that you sign up at least for one of them, if not several. The other thing, too, I want to make a note here about the library is just like if you were to go into a library and you go to the desk to talk to the librarian, we have the same feature here, it just has to be virtual. And so if you're on the library page, you're going to note that there's a green box that says Chat Help Available. That means there's a librarian sitting there right there available to you live. So if you're really having a hard time finding some information, or you need a particular article and you're really having a hard time with a keyword and you're having a hard time maybe searching, you can ask the librarian. The librarian will sit there and help you, okay? When the library is not available, it obviously will be read, and they do post their hours, and I believe they're open 6 days a week. I think Saturday is the only day they're closed, okay? So I think I beat that one to death. But my point is, make sure that you are very familiar with both of these pages right off the bat. Okay, the next one. Okay, especially for the November students. Okay, September students, you're already in the course. At least I hope you are. Okay. You want to access those courses immediately. Okay, go into the course. Do not wait to be prompted, because you won't be prompted, by the way. all right? No one's going to be chasing you down to say, hey, get in your course. So check it on if you're a November student, you've already enrolled, you know, keep checking. Sometimes they open up a little bit earlier, sometimes a little later, you know, but they definitely open up the yeah, it's usually typically 1 week, okay? But definitely check that on a regular basis, and as soon as you can get in there, get in there. View the learning contract within the course documents. And basically what I mean by learning contract, when you go in, the first thing that you're going to see is basically tabs. And I believe one tab is modules. And under modules, it usually, and it depends on how the instructor has titled it, but sometimes it says welcome or open first or course syllabus or something to that effect, or introduction or something to that effect. Go into that first module or that folder, okay, and that will have basically what's expected, how to, you see here. I want to make sure I don't get ahead of, hold on. Yeah, I'm going to ahead myself. So I won't say much more about that. But the bottom line is go review that, and I suggest, okay, to print it off and highlight certain aspects of it so you don't forget really what the learning contract has to say. You know, you want to meet your instructor through the welcome announcement. Typically there's an icebreaker, and the icebreaker tends to either start that first week before the term and goes right into the first week of the term opening. Okay, so make sure that you do participate in that, and make sure you know how to contact, okay, your instructor. You want to complete or update your profile. You don't have to do that, okay, it is not required, but you do have the opportunity to say a little bit about yourself and how you can be reached. And the other thing too, by the way, is if you have your own personal email in your profile, if I'm not mistaken, you can subscribe to each of the course discussions to say when something is posted, email me. Okay, so if you got a smartphone, say for instance, okay, and that's always with you and you're out and about and you're not next to your computer, you're at least being alerted that, oh, by the way, there's a post, okay, in discussion 1 first week. You could at least review it, okay, you know, read it, and when you get back to your computer, or I guess you could respond with your smartphone, so it keeps you kind of up to date, okay, on those discussions so you don't miss them. And then the last point here is meet your classmates, introduce yourself, and participate in the icebreaker. Already said that's really kind of important. All right, so I did mention review your course expectations. You really want to know what assignments, okay, are going to be required. You want to know when those due dates, you know, are going to, when they're going to come, and how are those due dates, especially if you have multiple courses. You want to know where those due dates are. Are they going to fall on the same day, or are they going to fall on different days? You know, some courses have assignments every week, some courses have assignments every 2 weeks, some courses have assignments every 3 weeks, okay? Some assignments have, you know, it's a 3-week module, something's due in the first day, something's due in the first week, something's due in the second week, something's due in the third week. You really need to understand the setup of the course, okay? It's really, really important. You're also going to find out that some courses don't open up modules. They open them up as you complete them because they don't want you to move ahead. Some courses don't mind you moving ahead, okay? So if you might be in module 4 when everybody's on module 1, the instructor doesn't care. But in certain business courses especially, they don't want you moving ahead. They want you to complete, okay, module 1 first. And in some cases, module 1 will have 3 parts to it. And so, for instance, they want you to read the first week, and then they want you to post something the second week. Well, they won't open the discussion area until that second week, so you're not ahead. And then they close the discussion down the second week and then open third week to submit your assignment. So I guess my point is understand the structure and the process. Discussions. Make sure you also understand the discussions. Let me make a very important point here. And again, I don't want to make sure I don't get ahead of myself there. I think students struggle the most with the discussion area because I think they expect that they're supposed to be in the discussion area 7 days a week, 24 hours. You do not have to be in there. Typically, instructors require that the student posts one discussion idea and responds to any of the students that have posted against that post, and then that they also select 2 students and reply to those students' posts, okay, and any reply that they respond to what you have said about their post, okay. So does that require you to be in there 6, 7 days a week? No, it doesn't. You can be if you have the time, but don't drive yourself crazy. That's not the expectation. So, set some parameters around that, but make sure you also understand what the discussion requirements are. Just one more point about the discussions. Some discussions require that you submit a paper, okay, and that the paper be reviewed by your peers and that 2 students respond to that. Sometimes it's just a post, all right? So again, not all courses are constructed the same way. Make sure you understand what the term paper is and what the term paper requirements are. Do you need an annotated bibliography or just a bibliography? Is a term paper a research paper or is it an essay? Really what is expected when it comes to that? What citing format is going to be required? APA, MLA, Chicago, all right? So make sure you're clear on those objectives. And then of course projects. Mary, are you a November student? Okay, yeah, it's too soon. All right, so the November term opens October, is it October? October 20, I don't have my calendar in front of me. I think it's the last week in October, thank you. So it's going to open 1 week prior to that, okay? Projects. Make sure you understand that typically there's a couple types of projects. You're welcome, Mary. There's group projects and then there's individual projects. Projects are usually your final projects at the end of the term. Make sure you understand what the goals, or at least what's the expectations or requirements surrounding that. Typically some projects require you somewhere around midterm to submit an idea for your particular project, and then you have to get approval for that project. And then somewhere maybe after midterm they might be asking that you submit a draft. So you have some work that's going on along with all the other work that you're doing that is going to go to your end of term project. Group projects the same thing. So just make sure you understand if there is a group project, what are the expectations? Are you going to be splitting the work between the 3? How that's going to work, so on and so forth. Any questions before I go on? Okay. Online expectations. Again, I think these are pretty clear, but we're going to go through them anyways. Obviously, your assignments are done on time and are of high quality. And high quality means that you didn't write the paper the night before, okay? That you at least at a minimum started with a draft, revised the draft a couple times, maybe submitted it to Smart Thinking, incorporated the feedback from Smart Thinking, and then submitted the paper, okay? It will show in your grades, okay? I know some things happen. Sometimes you have no choice other than to write the paper a couple days beforehand. Really don't have the time to sit there and revise it, but just be aware it is going to show in the grade. The second point is, when you need help, seek it, all right? You do have a network of people in offices to guide you. I guess the point I want to say here is that research does show when students seek out the help, they are the most successful. If you're going to sit back knowing you need help and you're not doing anything about it, unfortunately you're probably, might not do so well. If you're not quite sure really what you're struggling with, but you are struggling, a conversation with your instructor, a conversation with your mentor, or a conversation with my office might kind of hone in and, oh, okay, well, you know something? You're not really having a problem with the content. You're having a problem with writing, okay, about the content, okay, transferring what you're understanding, okay, to an actual assignment, all right? And there are some things or strategies we can help you out with. But again, I guess the bottom line is that seek the help, okay? Keep moving forward. Don't stay still. Don't go backwards. Take action, respond appropriately, and explore each option, okay, that is available to you. This is a little bit different, okay, than the bullet before. It basically is preparing you. I guess let me back up. for you guys to come here today, you're preparing yourself, okay, for something that might happen. Okay, so for instance, fire drills. We don't go through fire drills because there's a fire. We're going through a fire drill so that we are prepared just in case there is a fire. And so, when there's a fire, we're not scrambling going, oh my God, what are we supposed to do? Jump out the window? No. Okay, so it really is to prepare you. Once you're prepared, okay, in the case of a fire, you're at least going to get out alive. All right? If you're not prepared, you might find yourself left in the building, in a burning building. So I know that's a little dramatic, but the point is that if you know where to find the resources, the support, it really does save you time and you can get the help sooner than later. Realistically, okay, can or can you not do the work? Okay, if you're taking on 4 classes and you realize that's an awful lot, I can't do it, be realistic. Okay, it's okay. And I understand, we have some students that they have to take 4. It might be because of financial aid reason, or it might be that their goal is they want this degree finished by X. Quite honestly, it might not be able to get done that way if, in fact, you're working full time, you have outside obligations, you have family commitments, and then you have 4 courses. Remember, 4 courses take, okay, at least 4 credit courses take at least anywhere from, depending on your comfort level, 12 to 16 hours, okay, per course. So that's a full-time job if you're taking 4. All right, so just be realistic. And then, of course, the next bullet is view education as part of your life. What does that mean? Well, what that means is that, I don't have to drop anything. I'm just going to continue my life as is, and I'm just going to add in education as part of my life. I can tell you right now that doesn't work. All right, something has to give, something has to change. So it might be, for instance, that maybe you're on 2 basketball teams, say, for instance, or in the case, maybe you're on I don't know, you have 2 clubs that you're part of, or maybe you do some volunteer work, but you're doing it for 2 different organizations. Do you really need to do it for 2 different organizations? Can you somehow, take a leave of absence from one of those and pick it up after the courses are done? Okay, just to give you that extra time. So that's what I mean. You can't view education as an add-on. It just does not work, and you're going to definitely be stressed and high anxiety and most likely not do very well. And I guess obviously, the online learning expectation, your goal has been completed. You reached it, okay? So you were successful. Okay, so I did mention making sure you know how to contact your instructor and mentor. This seems like this is an easy thing to do, but in some cases sometimes it's not, because not all instructors use course mail. Not all instructors use email. Not all instructors use phones. Okay, so you really need to know, okay, my mentor is available, and they might have office hours and some might not have office hours. And that's the reason why when you go into the course expectations, that first module welcome, typically instructors always have contact me via this way. Okay, this is the best way to reach me. I do not, in some cases I've seen it, I do not look at course mail. I only communicate via this way. Okay, make sure you understand that. Okay, have a cheat sheet, okay, or something with a listing of that information. Okay. And that goes for your mentor as well as all the instructors. I don't have to say any more about that. Just make sure you know how to contact them. So what do I mean by a plan? Well, it's really just a plan of action. Okay? What is your plan for studying? Are you going to study at all, I guess, But, is there going to be a place that you would prefer to study that meets the needs of your style, say, for instance? And, is a specific time, okay, good for you? Okay, you need to kind of determine, in fact, how you're going to do that. And as far as organization, how are you going to organize your day? How are you going to organize, basically, time? How are you going to organize your coursework? Are you going to keep it in a binder? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? I mean, there's lots of things for you to think about. And then, of course, you've got to plan for support. And I don't mean just college support. I mean family support, friend support. So if you've got young children, say, for instance, and you work full-time, when are you going to do your work? Are you going to do it at nighttime? Okay. Well, if you've got a husband or if you've got a mother or somebody that can help, can they take the children while you're on the computer, You know, let's just say you decide that you're going to be on the computer, you're going to do your schoolwork on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, say for instance, between this time and this time. You know, do you need some additional support there, okay, to help, you know, alleviate maybe some of those distractions? So that's what I mean by a plan. My next point here is know where to seek assistance, what resources available. I already kind of went through this, but what I didn't go through is what are those offices. These are just some quick ones. Obviously the Office of Academic Support, which is the office I am from, that's where you seek, for instance, anything to do with academics. If you need assistance with writing, if you need a tutor, if you need a coach, because you know you are having some, you know, struggles with how to use a spreadsheet or how to navigate Angel, or you just really need some support, we're here. If you need some assistance with, just trying to think what else would be an example. I think I kind of covered it all. Yeah. So, you know that's what academic support is about. Office of Student Services is different, and that office also sometimes is called Office of Academic Services and Student Services. Academic and Student Services, pardon me. They're different, okay? Academic deals with instructors, okay? That particular office deals with instructors, okay? Student Service part is really student services. So for instance, if in fact you have a question about withdrawing from a course, say for instance, you can talk to Student Services because you really need to know what the consequences there are. If in fact you have a grievance, say for instance, about a grade you received, or that you think the instructor is not being as responsive as you think, okay, Student Services would also be that place. If you're unsure about disability, okay, if you have a disability and if you got the accommodation, granted you can go to the Office of Disabilities, but Student Services can help you out with that as well. What else am I missing there?
At the end of the term, when you receive your outcome, you can do an outcome appeal.
Right. Okay, so at the end of the term, okay, when you receive an outcome and you're not pleased with that outcome, you can do an appeal, okay, and that goes through Student Services as well, okay? So, again, different than my office, okay? So, for instance, if you come to me and you receive a tutor and you don't do very well and you want to blame, you know, for instance, if you think that the tutoring service was poor, or if you think that the instructor didn't really help or whatever, you can come to me and tell me that, because obviously I would need to hear that so I can address the tutoring issue if there was an issue. But that grievance actually has to go to Student Services if you want to do something about it. All right. Assessment tools. An Office of Disability Services, I should say, if you have been diagnosed with a disability and you didn't request accommodations, but you want to request accommodations, that would be the office that you would go to. It would not be Student Services or Academic Support. We cannot grant you accommodations. We have to honor those accommodations, but we can't grant you accommodations, okay? Assessment tools. Lots of assessment tools available at the bookstore as well as online. Smarter Measure is one. I believe a lot of you already went through that in the orientation. It's really assessing your readiness for online learning, and I believe it gives you some suggestions on how to increase those skills. There's also assessment tools for writing, reading, and math. There's modules that are $33 that you can purchase through the bookstore. They assess, say for instance, your writing skills. They'll tell you areas that you're strong and areas that you need additional development in, and they will give you exercises to increase that. I will tell you those are very good tools, but I will also tell you it does take some time and it does cost some money, and in some cases financial aid covers that. And then of course the library, we've already discussed that, okay? So my next point here, okay, is make sure that you engage, you communicate, and you seek assistance early. Those are my 3 words today. So let me see what else. Okay, this is my last slide. Okay, I don't want to overload you too much. I think I already did. Skills and abilities. Obviously, you know, time management is huge. As an adult, you know, time is definitely much more difficult to control. When we were younger, You know, we had school, we might have had a job, we might have had sports, but we really didn't have some major responsibilities. As adults today, yes, we have the responsibilities. So trying to fit the time in to take courses and to, to complete a degree is a challenge. So if you need some assistance on the time management, I just did 2 time management webinars yesterday. And I'm going to be doing them again, and there's time management links on the site. I would suggest, if you think that's something that you struggle with, look at that. And the other thing too is if you need the time management recorded link from last night or yesterday afternoon, we can get that out to you as well. Understanding your learning style. And also understanding learning styles interact slightly differently with each other is really important. And again, if I'm not mistaken, I think you already did this in the orientation. It's important to understand what your style is. So for instance, if you are a person who is hands-on, you like to touch things, get into it, the online environment might not necessarily really work for you. Okay. On the other hand, it might work for you because you have to come up with some strategies and approaches, okay, that will engage you, okay, in that manner. And it might be simply, honestly, of moving around while you're studying and that type of stuff. There is a learning style webinar coming up that discusses specifically learning styles and some strategies. Academic risk, okay? What I mean here, and that doesn't mean saying just take any old class and take the risk and just hope to God that you actually pass it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that before you actually go in and take that particular class, which might be beyond your ability, make sure you do a couple things prior to that. So for instance, I keep bringing up statistics because statistics is a difficult course. And many students do struggle with that particular course. So you might want to know, what is your math abilities, what are your skills? If you've been out of school for quite some time, it might be rusty. And so can you assess your math skills? And like I had mentioned earlier, there is a math module that can assess your skills, and maybe stats is not the course you want to take right off the bat. You might want to take an intro math course before going into that, especially if stats is something that you actually need for your degree. So that's what I mean there. I've already mentioned persistence, active, and engaged. Persistence, I think, is the big one. Active, meaning, and engaged. You want to be active in your course. Persistence, if you're not getting it, keep persisting through it. Look for assistance. Look for help. Talk to your instructor. Talk to other students in the course. Talk to your mentor. All right. People are not going to track you down to say you need to know this information. Okay, it's going to be up to you. Reflective, not reactive. Be open-minded. What this means is, if your instructor says to you, okay, or gives you some feedback about your writing, say for instance, and you take it personally, that's going to be a problem. Teachers are here to make sure that you're learning properly. They want to see you succeed. They're not being mean, and obviously they're not intending to be mean and to hurt your feelings. You really need to step back and go, okay, let me look at, does this make some sense? If it doesn't make any sense, then ask your instructor, okay? Say, I'm not really sure, I'm unclear what you're asking of me, I'm unclear about what you're saying, I thought I did it, correctly, I thought I wrote this the way it should be. Having that open communication and that open mind will allow you to go to that next level. And you might actually need a little, brushing up on some writing skills. That's okay, by the way. That's the reason why we have all this support, okay, to help you, all right? And if we can't help you, we're going to try to find a way that we can, right? So I guess keep an open mind. Please don't get defensive when that happens, okay? Oops, and see here. I was just skipping along here, aren't I? Okay. Again, I've already kind of talked about this, but be aware of your personal and situation limitations. If in fact, you really only have the time to take one course and you can actually do it, then do it. If it's a financial aid, take maybe the minimum amount of credit so you can get the financial aid. But just know that, if you take on too much, something has to give, all right? And hopefully it's not your coursework. And then the bottom line, we've already talked about this. Obviously, utilize the services and the resources that are available to you. They're here for a reason. They're not here just to say we have them. We want you to use them. And I'm not going to go through this, but these are the cheat sheets I was talking about and the links. Don't write them down. You'll get them in the PowerPoint, and then you can print them off. This is a listing of the Learning Support tab link. If you're looking for a tutor, where do you go and request one? Smart Thinking link, the Writing Coach email, if in fact you think you need a writing coach. That needs to be evaluated, by the way. I just don't assign a writing coach. I might suggest that you go to Smart Thinking first. If you persist and you really think it's a writing coach, you need a writing coach, then I'm going to ask you for a couple documents to look at, have the writing coach look at it, and then determine from that point on. Academic coach, we can get into that a little bit more, but some information is on the Peer Tutor program. On the Peer Tutor program website, information about what a coach is on that particular page. All right, so important information, okay? So I went through it quickly because I really wanted to open it up for some questions. Hopefully it wasn't too quick. Any questions whatsoever or comments? Okay, so I see that Patty's typing, so I'll wait. You got Janice. You're good, Mary? Okay, good. Then you're well prepared, ready to go, aren't you, for November? Good to know. Okay, Patty, can you send me the recording session on time management? Yes, Patty, matter of fact, would you do me a favor, Patty? Can you send me your email? Send me your email to, Anita's going to write in my email address. If you could just say, a little note, please send me the time management recording, that would be great. You're welcome, Janice. You're welcome, Peter. Okay, great. You're welcome, Patty. I look forward to the email. Okay, Kay Howard, you're welcome. I think just hearing some of the things I went through just kind of refreshes, all of us, okay, what we should do when we start, courses, especially if we've been absent from college work for quite some time. Yes, you're going to get a copy of the slides, Mary. Okay, Andrew, just send me an email as well, and then I'll get that out to you. And Anita's just typing in my email again. Yeah, I appreciate it. It'd just be easier because if I lose, I am organized, but I would hate to kind of miss the fact that I didn't send you the recording. So if you could just send me that email, that'll be great. Thank you. Okay, Mary, you enjoy your day too. Thank you, Andrew. So if no one has any questions or comments, we can just end the session. That's not a problem. I'm glad it was helpful. By the way, you'll be receiving a survey link too with the recording. If you could just take maybe 5 minutes, give some feedback on the webinar today, what you liked, what you didn't like, did it meet your expectations, what would you like to see, that would be helpful. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now.